Hey for lifers, it's your girl Tiana here. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, become part of the family here.
Ooh, it's something about the way she moves. I can't figure it out. There's something about her.
I would like to just say in advance, thank you for accepting me in my purest egghead form. I just have my hair pulled back into this super tight baby bun back there, and y'all get all the egghead glory today. Appreciate it, y'all. I also threw these glasses on just to kind of elevate. I feel like this is really boring and really giving egghead, so hopefully they're not a distraction. They're blue light glasses, so that's why it looks a little bluish, purplish, but I think it's just a cute little fun little look for today's video. So as you can tell by the title, today we're going to be talking about isolation season. We're here for another installment of Talks with T, Talks with Tiana, Tiana Talks, whatever you want to call it, whatever makes you smile. Just go with that. So we're gonna be talking about isolation season and the difference between isolation and independence. And like I always say with my talks with Tiana, I am just coming from experience, y'all. Like, I am no expert. I am no like philanthropist. I am no psychologist, psychiatrist. I am no professional in this department, but I'm somebody that's got life experiences, and through God, I've been confirmed on a lot of different things. So I feel that I have a balance or a level enough of where I can share confidently and speak on these different topics confidently. So I hope you guys are open to hearing this discussion and have an open heart and receive what I'm going to share with you today. I'm hoping that this video is not going to be long. I know I said that at the start of the last one, it ended up being like 30 plus minutes, but I don't have a whole lot today, so it shouldn't take us a long time to get through this. I've got my notes here, and let me start here. The reason why I take notes or I have notes, everything I say is coming from the heart, and it's pure, and it's my own ideas, my own thoughts, my own feelings. But y'all, sometimes these ideas of what I want to talk about hit me when I'm in like a position or a place that I can't really share out in that moment. So I have to keep notes in my phone, and then of course it transfers onto my iPad. So I'm going to be referencing them a little bit. So isolation season, first of all, let me just have you understand the difference that I've understood between isolation and independence. So growing up, my family will let you know, my mom, my godmother, my dad will all let you know, and my grandfather and grandmother, who have both at this time, they both already passed, they will all tell you that I am an independent person. I think lately I've I hit a point recently that I felt as if it was a hyper independence, as like a protection mode, but they will all tell you that I've always been an independent person. And my grandmother and grandfather, my grandmother on my paternal side and my grandfather on my maternal side, will both tell you that there's not much, would have both told you that there's not much that stops me from doing what it is that I want to do as far as accomplishing goals and getting things done. And that, honestly, my grandfather saying it was inspiration for the tattoo that I have on my leg. And then my grandmother used to always say, like, whatever you want, you always just go and do it. And so those two things, those two people feeling that way or seeing that in me have always stuck with me. This is my definition of the two and the difference, because when people hear isolate or isolation or by myself, they think independence, but that is true, but there's a difference. So let's get into the difference. For me, how I feel and through different experiences, how I understand the difference is that independence is very like self-driven in the sense that I feel it. Sometimes I feel like a lot of people choose to be independent or pride themselves on being independent, and it comes from self, I feel. But isolation, I feel, is more God-driven. We're gonna get into why. So for me, independence has always been, and even now when I say, I'm an independent person, like, it means I can do a lot of things on my own, I can handle my own, I can take care of myself, I don't need for anybody else to take care of me. And not even that, like, I'm not even talking talking financially. I'm also talking like mentally and emotionally. I kind of know that I can handle things. If I'm upset, sad, or whatever, I know how to like pull myself out. So there's that part of it. And then also like independent in, well, I don't mind doing this on my own. I don't mind going to the movies by myself. I don't mind going shopping, or I don't mind going to the grocery store. Like, I don't need a I don't live a codependent life. So I don't need somebody to do a lot of things. So that's how I kind of see it, like being able to do for yourself and wanting to do for yourself in more of like a choice style, if that makes sense. It's more just self-driven. And I know independence can sometimes come from not a choice. You may have had a certain life circumstance happen that's forced you to be independent. So when I say that isolation is more God-driven, and when you enter an isolation season, I feel as though you fully have to be a strong person. And sometimes people get into an isolation season and don't realize that this is the season that they're in until they start noticing things happen around them. So I say for me, isolation is God-driven for multiple reasons, because things might be happening that you're trying to fight them from happening. Like, people may be being removed from your life, and circumstances might be changing. Things that you used to enjoy, you may not enjoy anymore. People that you used to be around, you just may not want to be around them, groups and things like that. And so you may be like fighting that and battling that, but in the end you'll realize that I am supposed to be in this season. I feel like my isolation season is happening, and I feel like I'm like going through it again. Like, I feel like around this time last year, God put me into the isolation season and I mishandled it. I feel like I was fighting back on so many different things that were happening that he was trying to position me in that season. But now, literally a year, and what's today's date, the 10th? A year and 2 days later, I feel like I'm back in that season. Not to say it's starting today, but I can acknowledge that that is where I am at. And I feel more ready to, or more aware of what I need to do to fully listen to God in this season and take advantage of what it is that He's wanting to do for me and wanting to do through me. So I feel like isolation season takes place when you are growing spiritually and your faith is growing. I feel like isolation happens when you are being pulled closer to God or pulled closer into your faith, and you notice that when people start to be removed from your life and it makes sense. Not like, oh, this person did this to me, God's taking them out because they don't need to be in my vibe. No, like, you realize, well, they are not aligned, or even activities you used to enjoy. These activities, these people, these atmospheres I'm putting myself in are not aligned with the purpose for why I'm here on earth, and they might be hindering me from getting to where I'm supposed to be. So God is removing, taking away. And sometimes it may not just be that He's taking away, but you are now acting in a different way, moving in a different way as Himself. Things that used to matter to me a lot don't really matter to me anymore, because now I have space for more things that do matter. And so you just start to kind of analyze what's happening around you and how you're falling into a season of self. There are times where you will feel alone or feel lonely, and if you are unable, or if you haven't quite figured out yet what the reason is that you feel like you're losing people, or you just access to certain things, you're not getting that anymore, or you're not wanting people to have access to you like they used to anymore. It takes a strong mind to be able to handle that and accept the reason why those things are happening. One thing I noticed is that I feel as if God has been trying to elevate me. God is always trying to elevate me, and I see the elevation in myself. I know how God speaks to me. There's a lot of confirmation that I've gotten recently, like a lot of the things my heart desires, I know God has promised will be for me. And there's been things happening, working closer and closer, working to get me closer and closer and closer. And all I need to do is stay steadfast in that. And so when God is showing me that there are things that I used to enjoy that I may try to enjoy again and then it just goes wrong, or people I used to enjoy being around that I keep on trying to keep them around and it's just not working, I am listening. I'm at a point where I am listening, because me and my purpose on this earth and the purpose that God has for me and the will I'm supposed to run out of in this lifetime is more important than being a people pleaser, or more important than doing things I used to enjoy for fun just because. Let me give y'all an example. The example I want to give y'all 2 examples, and these examples were not in my notes. I did not think I was going to speak these. So let me slide my notes to the side because clearly I don't need that anymore. But this past summer, I did a whole lot of like turning up. Like after summer school ended, because I'm a teacher, and ever since I started teaching, I've always taught summer school. After that 3 weeks was over, I was like, this is my first summer since moving out here that I was gonna stay here and not go home for some time. And usually I go home right after summer school. And so I just felt like, I was like, I wanna live out my summer here in Atlanta. Like, this is my new home. I wanna live and explore and experience Atlanta summer. Like, I wanna turn up, be at the day parties, I wanna be at the brunches, I wanna be at the little events, festivals and things like that. And I really, really enjoyed myself. Like, I enjoyed being out. I had a blast. Like, me and my friends had a good time. Like, every single time we went out, except for one time, was a really good time. And so I just couldn't even believe, like after summer ended, I could not believe how much me and my friends were like wilding out. Like, we were really turning up. Like, we were drinking almost every day. We were outside every single day, like hair done, makeup done, heels on, lashes on, alcohol flowing every single day for like 3 weeks straight. I promise. I'm putting it down. I promise. Like, I had no reason to lie to y'all. And I had a good time, I'm not gonna lie. And so then when some time was going on and, you know, the school year starts back up, that's just not practical, and it's also not enjoyable to do all the drinking, even if it is just a glass of wine or champagne, to do all the drinking during the week and even on the weekends. The weekend is so short, like, it just isn't practical for once the school year is back in. And so then, like, different things would come up, like, okay, my friends and I would go out, you know, into the fall and winter time, and I would have a drink or two, or we would take, you know, shots and stuff. And I was like, I would wake up the next day just realizing, like, I don't like this hangover feeling. That, and also just seemed like there was always something. And I was like, this is God taking control. Like, the things I used to enjoy are having such a negative impact. Like, or I had all these plans for what I wanted to do the next day, and because I'm just not feeling well, I might only accomplish 1 or 2 of those things. And, you know, it just things I just was like, this is not entertaining for me anymore. I'm not enjoying this. So now I'm just like, I just don't really drink really much anymore. Like, even through January, I was like, I'm just not gonna drink at all. Like, really, I was doing like a body reset. So I wasn't drinking, and I went back to like no meat or just pescatarian. So it was more of like a body reset thing, but also too, like, it just felt so good. Like, every day was just so positive. And alcohol is a depressant, obviously, if you know that. I hope everybody already knew that, but if not, you learned something new today. And so it's clear that you may have other emotions or feelings when you're drinking, but to have that realization after, like, I have no reason to do this. And not to say I don't drink now, but I'm just like, as far as the extent of it was in the summer, like, it's just that's not entertaining for me anymore. So that's my example of like an activity that he kind of is pulling me away from. But also sometimes God will show you in different ways how somebody or a person is not supposed to be in your space. I tried so hard to like fight it, or just like, well, you know, I don't truly believe, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, you know, just I try to kind of basically fight that notion. And it's not even wholly about removing people, but also removing access that people give you. Because some people, you can't avoid them. You physically cannot avoid them. The access, and I did a whole video on this before, access is what can be altered. If the person can't be removed, the access can be removed, or the limit or the level of access that you allow somebody to have can be changed. And so I felt him moving in that way. Like, Tiana, you've got to stop telling so much to people. You've got to stop letting people in so much into certain spaces. And I've never been, and I'm not a very open, like, some people, the second they meet you, they tell your whole life story. And that's never really been me. I've always been more of like a quiet, until I feel comfortable, I share. Like, even to me, I will tell you, the first time we met, I don't think I even spoke like 5 words that entire night. And that used to be a lot of the place, or a lot of the reason why people used to say, oh, she's stuck up, she's snobby. But no, it's just like, I don't feel comfortable just letting y'all in because y'all not about to judge me. Like, that's how I used to think. And so I've never been a person to let everything out immediately until I get comfortable. And so then I felt as if God was trying to tell me, like, even though you feel comfortable or comfort in these people, you still need to tread lightly with how much you share. And I truly feel, God knows everything, hears everything, sees everything, even that we don't know, hear, or see. So there's a bigger reason beyond it. I feel like he's tried to show me multiple times with multiple people that it's just not what I think it is, and I've accepted it. And so now I'm just at the place of like, I know where he's taking me, and I know the purpose I have, and I know the steps I need to do to get there. And so if there's any distraction or anybody that's not, or anything that's not like aligning with that, then it's in my best interest to not entertain that much longer. So to circle back to isolation season, you've got to be okay with accepting. My pastor said it best today. He said something today about how, like, when he was praying at the end, sometimes you really have to put the car in park, get out of the driver's seat, let God get in the driver's seat, and let him truly take control. So if I'm at that point in my life, and I know I am, then I'm letting him control every aspect, not just where he's taking me, but everything along the way to get there. And even through all of this time of like, I'm forced to be by myself, like, things are happening that are forcing distance between me and situations, or distance between me and people. Even though those things are happening, of course, it's gonna make you feel alone and feel lonely. But when you accept the reason why, and when you acknowledge the reason why these things are happening, it doesn't bother you. Like, some people just feel like, oh, I'm just so lonely. Like, why doesn't this blah, 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 this and the third. But when you see the bigger purpose or the bigger reason behind it, it's not going to bother you. There's so much good that can come out of isolation season. There's so much more focus that you can have, less distractions around. And I'm not even talking just like people or things wanting to pull you back into old situations and old ways, but like, God is able to do the work that he needs to do and he's wanting to do in your life, because these certain things or people are no longer roadblocks. When you give all of your faith to God, and when you are fully grounded in your spirituality, it's almost like you just don't get upset about things that don't go your way, because you've accepted that this is a part of my story. This is all working out for my good. So what am I to be upset about? So I want to wrap this up, and I want to close with just letting you know and dropping this little tidbit for you that if you find yourself constantly battling different things and what you want to do versus if it's actually happening, and what your heart desires, and different temptations and things like that, if you're battling temptations, sit down and really think about, well, what is the reason? Like, analyze, why is this happening? Analyze, what have I prayed for? What have I asked God for? And how might my actions or my circle or my surroundings be affecting me reaching that? How might my circle and things be affecting me reaching those goals? How is that like a roadblock? Like, God wants to do everything, and he will always do everything for my good. But maybe am I like self-sabotaging? So release that and walk into the isolation season that is being placed upon you. finding the advantage. What am I supposed to do in this season? I've got no outside anything going on. So let me really sit down and ask God, like, what is my next step? Take advantage of it, look into what God is trying to tell you, and like move from there. For me, it's worked out. I just feel like it's worked out for me or I've acknowledged it a little bit later than I probably should have. But this is like another chance for me to like get it right this time. And I fully intend to like live out my purpose 1,000%. And if that means that some things I used to enjoy doing or some things blah 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 like don't need to take place anymore, then I'm fine with that. And I've always been an independent person, so that kind of helps a little bit also. But like, I just don't want us to forget that I feel like there is truly a difference between independence and isolation. Isolation happens because there's a greater goal in mind. Like, God needs you to sit down and focus and take these steps in order to get to where it is that you are needing to be and you are supposed to be. So that's it. I said I wanted to keep this video short and sweet, and I think I got my point across and how to kind of go about that and the difference in the two and why we should be aware if that is what we're stepping into, and just take advantage of it. Do some journaling, sit down, reflect on, is there a goal I was supposed to accomplish or I plan to accomplish that has just been kept on being put off and put off and put off? Or is there something that I said by a certain age that I hoped for by a certain age would be happening and it's not? And what do I need to do? Like, are there things that are in my way? So analyze it. Don't throw a pity party for yourself that you're lonely and this and that, the third, and whatever. Really look into why, the reason that you're set up this way right now, and what can I do to use this time to my best and my biggest advantage to blast off to where God is calling me to be. Y'all, so in reality, I just finished filming this, but I thought about it, and there's one more thing I need to share with y'all. I can't just leave y'all. Like, I've got to let y'all know. When you're in your isolation, He's not just going to remove things and take away and tell you to limit access. He's going to fill all of those empty holes and fill those spaces with what is going to get you where you need to be. So He may remove access that one person has to you or remove a person altogether, but He's going to make sure that people that can help you or that will be a positive influence on the elevation that you're desiring, the elevation of whatever it is that you're hoping for and working towards, He's going to keep those people, and they're going to be such a positive impact on you, and they're going to be so motivating and on the same path as you and equally yoked. Like, that's so important, but that's a conversation for a whole other time. And even the things you used to enjoy doing that are no longer on your enjoyment list, like, you're going to start just realizing, like, okay, well, I enjoy this more, or I'm not going to do this because it's going to affect how I do what I enjoy more, in a spiritual way or in a more positive way to help you reach your goals. So He's not just going to take away without filling in things that are going to help you elevate. So even if you are feeling alone because this person you removed or this activity is no longer what you enjoy and whatever, you're not going to be lacking. You just have to notice, well, I'm maybe growing closer to this person because we're on the same page, or we have similar goals or aspirations or whatever. Or I don't enjoy doing this, but I notice that even over time, a lot of my time is filled up with these more positive activities or more activities that pull me and draw me closer to God, or people that are seeking the same thing that I'm seeking. So I had to throw that in there because I closed out the video and I was like, I just kind of left them with, you'll be alone, deal with it. And that's not the case at all. So that is all that I have for you guys today for Lifers. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop me a thumbs up emoji in the comments. Let me know that you enjoyed this topic. Again, I said it in my last video and the video before, and I'll say it again. If there's a certain topic or conversation that you want to have through the series, you can either comment it down below or hit me up in my DMs on Instagram, yes.its.t. And I would love to share my thoughts with y'all and have a conversation about whatever it is that y'all want to talk about. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today for Lifers. If you're watching this on the weekend, have a great weekend or a great week. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye for Lifers.
She got her own thing, that's why I love her. Miss Independent.